This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right. Okay, so before we jump into the main topics, I did want to talk about something interesting that I experienced yesterday. I was telling you guys about it, the sushi thing. But okay, so I think my travel bug is totally coming back because I'm what are these cultures doing that we don't really see in Western society? You know what I mean? It's so fascinating how we think that the way we do things is how things should be done or are predominantly done. And then you see these little differences from different cultures and you're oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Before I get into the sushi one, I went to this Iranian dessert place, and I've never seen this before, but I was this is an ingenious way to drink tea. Maybe it's in your culture too, I'm not sure, but I've never teacups, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're oh, it's hot. Right? When you touch it, you're oh, the actual cup is hot.
Yeah.
So they have this one where it's the glass is kind of double. It's doubled. So there's if you're listening to this, it's gonna be hard to describe, but I'm showing a visual thing to Vish on YouTube. So it's it has the cup piece and then it comes around like this. So there's actually a gap of air between
Right.
the
Yeah. I've seen those.
and I was right, and well, I've never seen that before, but I
it's
touched
not
it.
directly touching the liquid.
It's not touching. Yeah, and I was so I poured it in. I picked it up. I'm oh, this is unique. Visually, it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you touch it, it's yeah, it's not hot. But then the liquid stays hot. And I was
Yeah.
how come we don't do this? This would make way more sense if we did it this way. Because teacups, coffee cups, they all get hot. Is that in your culture too, or no?
I think it just depends on what you're buying, right? So it always comes down to production value, how easy is these things to make, right? And cost.
Yeah, true, I guess, yeah.
So I don't.
Okay, so the double loop is more expensive than.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, than just a general cup. Why else make them be so simple, right?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But I think in their culture, it's common. So it's maybe it's just.
I don't know if it's necessarily common, but I'm saying some people you can buy those things at a more expensive level, right? Versus.
All right, true. But it's when you go to, how do you know what you don't know? It's I'd never even seen that before. So I didn't even know that was available in the market. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think the cultural interaction is so fascinating, because then you're oh, you do it this way? This is a way better way to do it. I'll just copy this way from. I mean, I don't drink tea, but
yeah. No. I mean, that's the good thing about these cultures here, or the melting pot here, is that you can experience all these things and take use things.
Right.
Yeah, learn from things. Yeah, basically.
So
others,
so there were pockets in Toronto, right? So I was trying to tag the dessert shop that we went to, and the location was the Iranian Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know it was called the Iranian Plaza. Then I realized oh, there's a lot of Iranians in this area.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think about Koreans who are in their little section, then Chinatown, and then you have you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's you can totally interact with other cultures. And that's fascinating because you don't really get that too much in
No,
different parts of the world
no,
or in
yeah.
small cities,
Hmm.
you know? And and then it's like, how do you even understand diversity and like other people if you don't interact with those people? So like, let's say you're a champion for, cultural intelligence and diversity, but you live in the middle of nowhere away
Hmm.
from all these people. So it's like, if you don't interact with them, how can you understand them or accept them? Well, I think understanding is like the beginning of acceptance, but you know what I'm trying to say? It's
You,
like you'll always have this perception of them as being different than you, but
hmm.
then when you interact with them, you're like, oh no, we're like actually similar.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, because like that came up in conversation like this week, and I was like, because like there's like so many people who are just like, I don't agree with this and I don't agree with this.
Hmm.
Right? In terms of like like it can come from like a positive place. Like I don't agree with people who aren't open to like gays, right? And then I don't agree with people who are not open
Right,
to
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
gays, right?
Hmm.
And you're like, and I was listening to these people discuss this, and I was like, you guys are talking about like you both hate each other with equal amount of hate,
Hmm.
but like why not try and find some common ground? But something like, oh, but I draw the line here. I will never speak. It's like, okay, well, they'll do the same thing.
Hmm.
So if it's just like eye for an eye, we're always going to, like end up with everybody being blind.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Weird, yeah. I don't know. You like it's like I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing though. Or maybe it's like fake. This like whole idea of um,
I think it's it. Those
you know
things
what I'm trying to say?
come, yeah, but those things come from fear.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, facts. And if you're led by fear, you're going to close yourself off to like all these other things, right? But
Yeah.
if you're open, then it's like then the foundation for everything will be like I don't want to say love because that's a weird word. It's like a
Hmm.
loaded word, It's like love everyone. It's like that's you can't love everyone. But then like I was proposing, you can respect everyone.
Right.
That's equal. Like even, you know, like all right, the worst person in modern times is like Hitler, right? But I can respect your intelligence for getting this far. I can respect your point of view.
Hmm.
I don't have to agree with it, but I can respect it. I'm like, okay, cool, that's what you believed, you know? And
Right.
I don't think a lot of people are coming from that perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's like not looking at them as human, just looking at them as uh,
Yeah. Yeah, right? And so they're like
other.
I was listening to other people talk about this and they're like, I don't support their point of view on this and this and this. And I was like, this is just an organizational thing,
Hmm.
right? But then I was like, like an organizational preference. I prefer society to be led like this. It's like, yeah, that's how you would like to organize it, right? And then I was like saying how I run in different circles. So I get to experience, like a very inclusive group, and then I can experience a very non-inclusive group. But why can I run in both circles? Because I'm not attaching to their point of view. I'm
Hmm.
like, we just enjoy this thing in common. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
enjoy this activity, so I'll just look at you in this activity. I'll see beyond your point of view and just
Hmm.
look at the joy we both have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
basketball when we were kids, right? Like we are all different cultures on
Hmm.
the street,
Hmm.
right? But we would just come play basketball.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Didn't really matter what it is we were doing. We're just playing basketball,
Hmm. True.
you know? Right? It's fascinating
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, why can't people just jump back to that
Yeah, yeah,
time?
yeah. Like if we're stepping out of like normal like societal issues. We're just playing a game. We're
Right,
just
because you know
focused
what it
on
is?
yeah,
Because it's like we're arguing over social constructs,
yeah.
like just ideas.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
your
there. Yeah.
ideas, but they're just ideas. Like, but what's really happening in this moment? Throw me the ball. I'll
Hmm.
try and get it in. That's it. You know? Yeah. I really feel like that's missing from both sides of like the left and the right, because
Yeah.
they equally hate each other. It's
Hmm.
weird.
I think that's why sport is such a big thing, though, right? In society,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a way you're just only talking about one thing, which is sport. It doesn't have to do with it's nothing to do with your political views or anything. It's just
yeah, yeah.
supporting a team. or
like
playing a
like
sport or whatever it is.
Olympics,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone just joins the Olympics because like even weren't the Nazis like in the Olympics too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like okay, we can overlook this. Just it's not like we kicked out Russia from the Olympic Games, did we? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think they did.
Oh, really? They
Yeah, you can play as an independent, but not for the country of
Oh,
Russia.
okay. Well, that's just rude, bro. Man. But I don't know. Like things seem like when people say like things seem. Actually, I was about to say it. It's like things seem simpler as a kid, but
Hmm.
probably because we weren't so bombarded with social constructs
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
kids,
We weren't. Yeah, we're not thinking about those things.
right? Like we're
we're
just
just
like, you want to go for a bike ride?
we're,
Cool.
we're just thinking about fun, right? That's
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
And then it's weird when people are like, "Well, you can't just think about that." You're like, "Why not?"
Yeah.
You know what I
Why
mean?
not?
It's like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is only
Yeah.
one life, right? Like.
Yeah, yeah, and we're all sharing the space.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's like I don't know what that is. Like why some people don't get it that way and some people do,
Hmm.
you know? Like maybe they're just stewing in their own head too much. You know, what I mean? You're just sitting at home, you're just like watching this stuff. You're like, "Oh, I hate this," but it's like you're not interacting with the world.
Hmm.
Because on a day-to-day basis, like,
You can't live like that 24/7. You
yeah.
just can't. There's no way.
Yeah. And I'm trying to give this example without like making it too obvious, but there's this one person that like their ethnicity where they live, their ethnicity was kind of hated on,
Hmm.
right? And not hated on, but like okay, I'll just give this example. This is not the person, but this is a similar example. So it's like being Jewish and then you're living in an area where there are Holocaust deniers.
Okay.
Right? But the person who heard it wasn't like, I'm gonna champion for this, I'm gonna create whatever. He was like, oh, like there's some strong evidence to suggest that it could be real, but I get where you're coming from.
Right.
But like, why can't we all do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why
Hmm.
can't you take that road? Why do you have to like make a petition now and like a banner? It's like, yeah, you're not educated enough. Like, it's cool, whatever. I just won't hang out with you.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But we feel like we need to fight for our
Yeah. I think.
let me go write a letter. Like what? Come on, bro. Like, do something else. You know what I mean?
um. Well, it depends. Yeah, I think it all what you're looking at, what you're viewing, like
Yeah,
social
like a bad.
media and all that.
True, true,
I think
true.
those things all come into effect.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, I don't think we understand the filtering system of like what it is we're watching. Because one person was talking about like, oh, all I watch is like people who tell me how to behave correctly. And I'm like, so you're just being bombarded with you're a bad person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was like, what? Like
Yeah,
I get like, yeah, educate yourself, but like don't don't like put yourself down.
yeah, yeah.
It's weird. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, that was like a small tangent,
Mhm.
but the other thing I want to talk about was Jiro Dreams of Sushi. We watched that and we're always like, what would that be like? I wouldn't recommend it. It's like so weird, bro. It's like you do so me and Sunshine, we had like a set menu. And then basically he would just make these I did this yesterday, and then he'd make these like individual sushi pieces. But it's not like all you can eat
Yeah,
or
yeah. No,
like
no,
a
no. It's not. Yeah.
commercial. No, but I mean like
Hmm.
no, but I mean like it's not no, I meant like it's not like commercial or all you can eat in the sense that one, you're not going to get full, and two, they're not really trying to give you something that will sustain and enjoy you. Like all right, torch salmon, right? You're like, oh, that's really great. I will eat that. It'll make me full. Tastes delicious, right? You can eat a bunch of that. But they weren't giving you torch salmon. They were giving you stuff that was like a flavor and a texture that makes you go like, what did I just put in my mouth?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, there are levels to this thing where it's like sushi, when we think of it, we're all like, like a la carte or all you can eat, right? But then the apex of sushi is like you'll have the actual sushi master giving you pieces, right? And then it's like not what it's cracked up to be. You know what I'm saying? Like we always, from the perspective of somebody who's like eating sushi, like you and I, on
Yeah.
a commercial
Yeah.
level,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We'll go to all you can eats or like you'll order some a la carte stuff. You're like, oh, I wonder what the apex of sushi is. And the apex is like you'll sit in front of a sushi master,
Hmm.
right? And he'll make you some stuff. Like, especially it's a set menu. So it's like he's going through a journey of flavors,
Right.
right? But it's like some of the stuff we ate was like baby. I hope it was squid, but it could have been baby octopi. And I was like, oh, it's octopuses. And I was watching him make it. And I was like, oh my God, are you really going to make me eat that, bro? And he handed it. I was like, don't think, just like put that in your mouth and start chewing, bro. And then like, what does that taste like? What does it like feel like in your mouth? But I would never order that
Right.
myself. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So weird.
I view it
Yeah.
like this though.
Uh-huh.
You've got the general movie for everybody, like a general blockbuster for everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
But then
Totally.
you
Yeah.
have the artsy films of the each individual directors who specify in that kind of field, right? So it's
Right.
like I don't. It's like even what you've experienced is specifically that chef
Facts. 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 Facts.
or the
Totally. Yeah.
artistic
Yeah. Yeah.
vision from that chef.
Right. 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 But it's like you're also pulled on a journey that you aren't um in control of.
Hmm.
Because like for set menus, it's
Exactly.
like it's
Yeah.
there both. You know what I mean? It's not
Yes,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like you're watching. Like we will go watch Green Knight, right?
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But that's not for everybody.
Good analogy. Yeah. Right. Right. Good analogy. But it's like you hear so much about it, it's like you'll like actually no, a great one was Atlanta. You know the show Atlanta?
Okay. Yeah.
So I watched a wisecrack breakdown of it and it made me want to watch Atlanta more. But it's so highbrow philosophical, right? Even though it comes off as like
Hmm.
like basic, like nothing's really going on, but they're actually talking about society. So I was trying to watch it with Tara and she's like, I'm not into this. And I'm like, oh, there's the like it's like this is like you were saying, it's like this is not for you. But the acclaim was Atlanta's highbrow
Hmm.
philosophical,
Right.
but it's not commercially
No.
good,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, I was like, oh, this is cool because it's something I'm like into, like highbrow
Yeah.
philosophical stuff. But then like on a regular scale, it's like it's not ingestible for everyone.
Right, but it may not be like that art style may not be for her, right? There could be another
Mhm.
one that could fit her, but not you.
Yeah, facts like salads. Like she loves these salads. I'm just like, I'm not into these salads. It's like, but you're like, yeah, yeah, totally, I agree. It's like, but
What I'm trying to say is like,
yeah.
is this specifically that artist?
Uh, I don't know
Because
because I get where he was going with it. I get the process now. It's like all right, so we had Michelin star sushi, right? Me and Sunshine. Oh, actually, you were there too. And then we had the salmon,
I was there.
and
Okay,
yeah, it was downtown Akira back.
I
Your brother was
remember.
there. So we ate the salmon, me and Sunshine, and I was like, oh, this is the best salmon sushi I've ever eaten, right? Because it was so freshly prepared.
Hmm.
Right? So you're like, how fresh can you go? How much texture can you go? Right? So at these places, it's like this is the apex of freshness. This is the apex of like
Right. Okay.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not you're right, each individual chef will have their own take on it, but I get what the genre is now. It's like how
Hmm.
fresh can because I was really hoping he wasn't gonna give us something alive. Because that's like I watched some videos and like they would just like kill it and then make you eat it right there.
Hmm. Maybe it's like what was that guy's specialty in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That specific chef, right?
But I think right, totally, totally. But I think in general they're all like how much like like freshness and like flavor can we give you with
Hmm.
this like piece? You know? Like I get what you're saying. It's like maybe this guy has like he has like a habanero specialty or like this guy has like a torch sushi specialty,
Hmm.
right? but I think like they're all still trying to give you the purest form of sushi,
Right.
which is like we caught it this morning, and now you're gonna eat it.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that's cool, I guess, but it's like how much buttery sushi can you eat?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like, oh, this like the difference between this one and this one. It's like there is a slight difference, you
Yeah.
could tell. But like I feel like a sushi connoisseur would be like, oh, I can taste so much more.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
I was
Of
like,
course, yeah. I
they're
don't
just both
think
buttery,
most of these cases are not for I would say general public. Yeah.
Right, 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 right. So it's like, but it's funny because it's like when you get there, you're like, okay, let's just try it. And you're like, oh, this is not what I expected. Like
Hmm.
expectation versus reality, right?
Right.
The marketing of it is like, this is the apex of sushi,
Hmm.
and you're like, it's like a letdown almost. It was good, but it's not like I wouldn't eat that every day. You know what I mean?
No, I don't
I
think people would do
prefer,
that, right?
yeah, totally, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, actually, Sunshine's coworker who suggested the place, she eats there like twice a month. What? Sorry, it's me and Athena. Tara left, so
Oh.
um, but yeah, so like she eats there um like twice a month. So it's like you must really like
Hmm. Right.
this thing,
Yeah. But
but
that's
that's
what I'm
for you.
saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Green Knight is not for everybody, but there are people that like that
Facts.
and really.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. They deep fried, like the shell of a shrimp, like
Hmm.
the head of the shrimp, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that, right?
Yeah.
They just deep fried that and they just gave it to you, bro. And I was like, are we supposed to eat that? I wasn't sure of like when you put it there, and I was like, am I gonna eat this?
Kind of makes sense. They don't waste anything.
Yeah, it's weird.
Mm.
But then it made me think like, do you just go around trying like things and then you're like, oh, let's make people eat this?
No,
Or like he's like
that's
showing
what they
like,
do. They gotta do
right?
that, right?
Right?
Or it's like this. It's like let's just do anything and see if they'll eat it.
Yes. That's what I was gonna say. I wonder if the sushi chef was like, "Oh my God, he actually put that in his mouth, bro." Like it was the head. Like we throw that out, bro. But this guy deep fried it, but deep fried it enough that it became like chewable. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
ate
yeah.
it. I was like, "Why am I eating like garbage?" You know? It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be very difficult for me to go to these places if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't.
Facts.
I'm very
Yeah.
picky.
Yeah, and because Tara was like, when me and Sasha were gonna go, she's like, "Oh, you're going to sushi?" I'm like, "Not that kind of sushi. Like, I don't know if you'd be open to it." And then she's like, "Well, I like sushi," and I was like, "No, but like whatever they put, you have to eat, because like that is it's what, and he's watching you, bro. He'll put it down, he'll just watch you eat it, and you're like, oh my God, like what if I was like, I can't, I'm sorry, that's gross. Like you didn't offend him, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I like this. Yeah, again, it's very specialized. You have to be going with an open mind. I
Hmm.
was praying there was nothing that was alive. That'd be great. Like when I saw those octopuses being put into the sushi thing, I was like, "What are you doing, bro?" Because like they're whole, like
Right.
they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like it's like, and it's not even chopped up. It's like
Oh my
actually
god. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bodies.
Right.
And then it wasn't one. He put like six, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna eat like a handful of octopuses, bro." It was weird. It was freaking. And then the weird one was, the blowfish that could kill you.
Yeah.
So
Pufferfish.
we
Yeah.
ate pufferfish. So we ate one of those, and I was scared. I was like, "Bro,
Oh
it's
my
gonna
god.
kill me!" Like, what? Okay, like let me just. But it tasted like weird, bro. It wasn't even tasty. Like as soon as I
Mm.
ate it, I was like, "I want to spit this out," but I have to eat
Right.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But so this is the thing, right? When we went to Japan, it was like sushi is not mainstream there. You can get it, like you can get it here, but it's like most of them are eating like curry rice, curry pork cutlets, and I never understood it. But then going to this thing, I'm like, oh, it's like a delicacy. It's like this is really not for everyone.
Hmm.
Like why? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
we place Japan as the pinnacle of sushi, like they themselves are not really eating it like
Hmm.
we thought they were. Like the regular people, because I'm sure like you know, the rich people are eating all the time.
Sure.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
there's this artist, David Cho. He spray painted Facebook
Hmm.
like their mural, and then they were like, "Oh, instead of paying you for this, we can give you shares." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll just take the shares." And then Facebook exploded, so he sold the shares, and now he's like a multi-millionaire, right? But he was like a regular artist, right? Poor. And then as soon as he made all his money, he's eating sushi every single day, and he got mercury poisoning because he didn't know, right? He's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll go to these like high-end restaurants all the time, just eat it." But it's
You
like
can.
this is
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not actually good for you, you know?
yeah.
Hey, we never think about this. It's weird.
And salmon
Anyway,
do carry a lot. They're one of the bigger fish, right?
yeah. True. Yeah.
The bigger the fish, the more the mercury in them.
Yeah. Because they eat the small fish and stuff with the mercury and it's just
Hmm.
like compound. Yeah, weird stuff. Anyways, that was my sushi experience. But like interesting, like cultures, you know? Oh, this is how you do it. Or like, oh, this is what you value and stuff. Yeah, fascinating. Anyways, um, oh, what else do I get into? Video game. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. This is interesting. Um, so well, I guess like maybe do you think we'll ever come to a point where we start living? Because I've been championing this for a while, like my life a video game. But do you think we'll ever hit a point where um, everyone just stops playing video games and they just start playing augmented reality? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think they'll hit a point where we're not actually like? I feel like video games were fun as kids, and I mean, still fun because you can do things that you would have never done, right, in real life. But with augmented reality, do you think that would take over to the point of like this is more fun and it's interactive with the world versus like jumping into a game? Because I think of like cyberpunk, right? Like that kind of like world. And I couldn't see if I was in cyberpunk, like living there, would I leave cyberpunk to play a video game? Like if you were like living in the cyberpunk world, because there's so much stuff going on, right? And like like augmented reality's there. You can like do a bunch of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you think that would be the end of video games, or do you think video games will be here forever? Like, do you think there'll be a point where we just turn our lives into a video game?
Hmm. I I
Like, you know what I'm trying to
think
say?
I think
Like
I know what you're
Pokemon
trying to
Go.
say, but what I know what you're trying to say, but you're saying that it has to match or be the same as a video game.
Like, but with right, that's why I said augmented reality.
Yeah.
So it's like
But then
you can,
isn't that just then video game?
um,
Couldn't video games just become part of
yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Then
yeah.
our lives would become a video game. Do you think that would happen?
I think it
Like
could happen. I mean, can you say like Pokemon Go is kind of like that, where it's
that's what I mean. Yeah. It's in the world. Like if you put on glasses and then instead of like looking at your phone, you could literally see like a Charizard, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna grab that thing. So you throw
yeah.
the ball, and then
Hmm.
you catch the Charizard. I wonder if that's where we're going to head in the future.
No, I can see that if VR and
You know what I'm saying?
AR become a thing, it's gonna get there, right?
Because doesn't it seem kind of weird now that it's like, why am I playing with the joystick? You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Hmm.
like me sitting down. Like the closest example I have for this is like your Forza game. A Forza, right? No, not Forza. Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get the wheel and then you get the pedals, that's essentially heading in that direction.
Yeah.
Like it almost seems like playing with a controller seems archaic if you jump like 20 years in the future.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be a wild world too, because then you're like what, like,
Like it's not like even like
really?
things. Yeah. In the new the PSVR, it's like you're selecting menus with your eyes. Like it's
That's what I mean. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It seems so weird to be like, why am I controlling everything in here? And it's so cumbersome, you know?
Hmm.
Even with like inputting your name, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to select characters, you're like up, ding, down, ding, but if there was like a keyboard, it'd be a lot more efficient.
Hmm.
But then like just scrap because like you can't have a controller that's a keyboard, but what if you had like gloves and you put the gloves on,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do we take this into the world now? You can wear your gloves all the time, and you're like, you're interacting with, like, you're trying to get in your car, you put the punch code like this,
Hmm.
and then your car opens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be a weird, interesting world where you're not even playing games anymore because your life has our lives have literally developed into a fully
Well, I
immersive
mean, yeah,
video.
actually, no, I can see that. Of course, I think the transition what we learn from video games, we adding it into the world, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we did that with GPS,
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
So like
yeah,
that's of course it's gonna happen. Anything that is more convenient and is a possible way to add it into our world, physical world, yeah, it will be done.
right?
I think
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So maybe, wow, it's crazy to think, but like if you look at the timeline of it, maybe video games were the stepping stone to our full integration with technology.
Hmm.
But like for real though, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
No, no,
Like,
no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
yeah, because we're like, oh, this is so fascinating, but I'm stuck to a screen. Like, oh, maybe you're not stuck to a screen. Maybe you can, like, maybe we'll have like virtual pets,
Yeah.
like literally Pokemon
Hmm.
around you, you know?
I think it'll start. It has to start with like the glasses or things like that. Like these things, we need to have some things that will eventually add to our.
And like haptics too. You need to be able to like feel because wouldn't that be so trippy? You literally have just glasses and like haptic gloves, and then you have Pokemon running around you. You can like touch them. You
Mhm.
can literally feel the Pokemon.
Right.
So it's like this is way more immersive as a video game than video games themselves.
Well, this
Because
becomes the video game, right? Reality becomes a video game, as you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, isn't that a trip?
Yeah.
Because that is literally where we could head,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
especially with Neuralink.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
especially with Neuralink.
right? Yeah. Again, if this does happen, we grew up in the best time because we saw the world without video games, the world with video games, then the world um, where the world became a video game. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because like even like things like cryptocurrency and stuff, like that's where that would live if
Hmm.
we had, or well, I guess you'd still have, because like if we're just interacting, we like go to the shopkeeper, or it's like this, like you know how people were talking about like they hate so many people. Like let's say you're a racist and you're like, I don't like black people.
Hmm.
Augmented reality, you just see only white people, right? That would fix everything. Or you're like, oh, I don't like, um, I believe I'm a fox. So then every person becomes a fox, and
Right.
we're all interacting with like this. It sounds ridiculous,
Hmm.
but it's
Hmm.
like that actually
But I
could,
wonder what that does to society, right? It's like
bro,
that
right?
will
Could you imagine
that will
that? I would trip
break.
everyone out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You have some weird, like, how do you even deal with like mental health crises at that point? Because everyone's got a weird, different mental health crisis.
exactly.
The biggest one will be like, what is reality?
Hmm.
Because like your version is totally different than my version.
I mean, that you can directly see subjectivity right there, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That'd be pretty cool. Like, it'd be interesting to hit. Because I could see it too. It's like, you're like your fatigue level, how much you need to sleep, oh, you need some water. Like it would just like pop up and be like, oh, you need some water, and you should drink some water.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or like yeah, like you could have like a crappy car and you just make it look like the Batmobile
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah, exactly.
not for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because these are just skins. Like I could totally see it. Like even with as something as simple as our backgrounds right now,
Hmm.
it kind of trips me out because it's like, how do you know the depth of like what to turn into a background and not?
Right.
You just apply this onto like glasses
Hmm.
and it'll just be
Didn't they
overlays
do
of
that?
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if I've
It
seen
was
that in
in
a movie.
heavy rain, heavy rain.
Oh
The
yeah.
video
Oh
game.
yeah, yeah.
Remember he was
Right,
living in the
right, right.
office and
Yeah,
they gave him the storage closet. He's like,
yeah.
oh, you just gave me a storage
So
closet.
that
And he
was
put his
cool.
glasses on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time we saw it. And then I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, this could be a thing.
Hmm.
You know, we just didn't figure out the tech yet, but it could definitely
But he was
get in
wearing the
that
glasses,
direction.
so like I think that's where we're headed if
Totally, yeah.
glasses become a thing.
And then he was like, do I want to live on Mars? Do I want to be underwater?
Hmm.
Yeah, video games, like, because they are science fiction, I guess, but they really point us in the direction of where we're headed
Yeah.
societally, like tech wise. Like you were saying, the GPS, that was straight video game, but now that became a everyday thing.
Right.
Like even to the point of walking, which tripped me out because like I never thought that the walking GPS would be good. I don't
Hmm.
know why, just it didn't click in my head. But then I was like walking around. We were in Vegas and I pulled it out and it shows you the direction. So
Yeah.
like Metal Gear Solid
Oh
back
yeah,
in the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
where the viewpoint, right? It shows like the little dot and then it shows you like where they're
Hmm.
looking so that you can avoid them on the map,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
So on my GPS, it was like a dot and then showed me the viewpoint. So it's like, oh, I'm looking in the wrong direction. So I just turned it. I was like, oh, dude, this is crazy,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like so.
yeah, yeah,
And then even in the mall too, we were inside the mall. I was looking for a shop in Vegas, and I was like, but this is inside the mall. Why would the GPS work? So she's like, just turn it on. We did it, and it showed me literally where to walk in the mall. I was like,
yeah.
this is so trippy, bro. Like, where where could this go as satellites get even better?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, just a thought. Um, anything else about that?
No, yeah. I think we can reach that. Yeah.
Yeah, same. And like, definitely, definitely not even that far away. Like, I don't see it being 100 thousands of years in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because if you look at the progression of how long it took us, like it hasn't been that long,
Right. No, no, no.
right? Like from like in our own
Like in
time,
our
right?
time, yeah, it's been our time, yeah. Like we started with Nintendo. Like I mean, Atari
Right.
was further back, but than us, right?
But I don't even like that's not like a 1910 thing.
No,
You know
it's
what I'm
not.
saying? Like that's
Yeah,
like maybe 1960, 1970,
something like
is
that.
something like yeah, something like right around that era. Maybe 1980 is when it came out. I don't really know. But then like
Yeah, I think that sounds
you're gonna Google it?
better. I think no, no, no. I think 80 sounds better. I'll take a look. Yeah,
All right, cool. So 1980 till now,
I know. Like Steve Jobs worked at it at a Atari place.
Atari.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there you go. So 1980s is 20 years. It has been 43 years. Let's say.
1977.
Okay, so 46 years.
Hmm.
We've had 46 years of innovation. And look how far we've come
Yeah.
in such a short amount of time.
Hmm.
Which brings me to Atlantis. So you'll get the segue in a second. So um, I sent you that video of the Richat structure. And I had seen this years ago, but I thought it was fake. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna
Right.
look
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Right? It was like the so if you could even Google Maps it and you could look at this. They say it's like made from nature, but it looks so unique. It's like circles, like they say concentric circles. I don't even know what that means, but it's like circles within circles,
Yeah, I think
you
that's what
know?
that means.
Yeah, yeah, I should want to use concentric and then sound smart, but it's like I don't actually know. I can Google it. But so with the circles upon circles, they can't find anything else um like it around the world.
Hmm.
Right. So like people were just trying to say it's man-made because they don't think human beings lived in that area, right?
Right.
So Plato, who is the first person to describe Atlantis, he basically gave this specific description of what Atlantis was, and the full description matches this Richat structure in Africa, which would make sense because a lot of people do think that um, well, before I continue, Bright Insight just watches videos. This is where it's coming from. I'm not making this up. So a lot of people think that Atlantis is underwater, right? Some people are like, oh, it sunk into the sea, right? But but they were saying it's like it was like an epicenter for trade. So if it was in the middle of the sea, it's very difficult for everyone to get to because they have to navigate to the sea. So wouldn't it make sense if the Sahara, it was in the Sahara, which is like a giant landscape, that people could actually like walk to, you know? But you're thinking like, but isn't the Sahara just sand? But back then it wasn't sand. It was like lush greenery.
Hmm.
And then a supposedly like an asteroid hit, and then that destroyed the entire city, right? And then if you look at it from space, if you the freaky thing is if you look at waves on a beach, it makes these like sand ripples. But then if you look at like the way the landscape is from space, it looks just like the sand ripples. So like a meteor must have hit and then created these crazy tsunamis that like splashed around and like destroyed the whole area.
Mhm.
All right, that all being said, there's a ton of things that they can't figure out from the Egyptian pyramids, like technologically. So one of them that tripped me out, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about this one. There's the face of the statue, and um, it's a perfect mirror of the left and right side. So basically, if you were to take a picture of it, Photoshop it, flip
Right.
half the image, and
Mhm.
then like go 50%, it'll look identical.
Mhm.
And the person that discovered this was talking to all these like masons, like people that like chisel away at stuff. And they're like, this is impossible to do with our tools today. Because even by hand, it's like it was made out of limestone, so it would take you forever to chip away at this with our tools. So it's like that's one question. So how are you chipping away at this?
Mhm.
And two, if you did it by hand, chipping away at it, you'd have imperfections. Like you'd have like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
side has slight change than this side. But how did you make them perfectly symmetrical?
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of weird? Like how like
Right.
if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can't
yeah.
figure it out,
Mhm.
so what kind of technology did they have to create this?
Mhm.
Right, is the question. And supposedly Atlantis has been around for like hundreds of thousands of years. It's actually not like people think like humans have been around for like 10,000 years, something like that, like the modern human.
Okay.
But we could have just, but, or 12,000 years, sorry. They think human, like our version of human has been around for 12,000 years, right? Which makes sense if at 12,000 years ago we were reset by an asteroid. So like that's why remember ancient apocalypse and then you see like these different structures around the world and it's like how do you go from being a hunter gatherer to making monoliths all of a sudden,
Mhm.
right? So it's like if we came this far in 43 years, 46 years, if we had thousands of years
Yeah, of course.
of like continual progression, we'll end up like them,
Mhm.
like these Atlanteans.
Mhm.
So the only question is, did something destroy them or not? Or maybe they weren't real, right? Like that's the only like either we're making this up and like this is even though it seems like all the evidence is pointing to this, either you believe it or you don't. Because that's the one uh because like what happened to them is what I'm saying. It's
Right.
like that's the only thing if we agree that something hit Earth and then it just destroyed the old civilization, then we can accept that Atlanteans existed. But
Mhm.
if it's like a myth, then we'll say that yeah, nothing hit Earth. But then the question becomes like, what are these things? Like, how do you explain these things?
Right.
Well, like, all right, my what I'm trying to get at here is like, how can you deny it? Like how, like you know,
Denying
like
their
how,
existence or
yeah,
denying.
if their existence, like how can you deny it?
Right.
Like we have things that we don't know how they did it. And
Mhm.
I thought it was like, oh, just pushing the pyramids, like the blocks together. But to me, I was like, when I saw it, like, and I actually saw the pyramids, I was like, ah, yeah, okay. I could see people just like pulling this. That makes sure just takes thousands of years. The thing that really tripped me out was the symmetricalness or like the symmetry
Mhm.
of the face.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I don't actually know how that would be done.
Right.
Because they are blocks. When you go see the pyramids, they're like just giant blocks.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, just like
Yeah.
any kid could do that, right? But like, how do you explain symmetry? I don't know
Mhm.
your thoughts. Like,
Well, I wouldn't know that, right? If masonry people are saying that
it's
that's
impossible.
not
I mean, it's like,
possible. Yeah.
right? Because like as you're chipping away, it's like you're bound to make an
Yeah.
error.
So how do we do
So
that today, right? How are we making symmetry today? Is that
you
through
can do it.
lasers or
So
something?
exactly, that's what he was saying. The guy who made that thing was the best way we could do it. Like if this was in today's time, the way we would do it is you computer generate half of the face, and then you just duplicate the face.
Hmm.
But we didn't have computers back then. Allegedly, to the mainstream
Sure.
story,
Yeah.
they didn't have
Hmm.
computers, and all they had were chisels.
Hmm.
So how is this all making sense?
Right.
Like, how do you get symmetry so perfect?
Hmm.
Or you'd see errors of it, you know? And also, the Bright Insight guy made a really good point. He's like, technology only gets better over time. So if they had that then, why don't we have that technology now? Right? Like, wouldn't that be a useful piece to pass down to like future generations?
Hmm.
So what the theory is that this old world might have looked like ours. We got wiped out, and then people stumbled upon these artifacts.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like they stumbled upon the pyramid, like, oh, what's this pyramid? Right? Because what they're seeing is there's replicas. So people like the people that stumbled upon it try to replicate what they saw, but they're not
Right.
of
This.
equal quality.
Hmm.
Like the older stuff is better than the newer stuff.
Hmm.
So wouldn't that suggest that the older people definitely got wiped, like that knowledge is gone,
Right.
and then new people moved in,
Hmm.
you know? I'm like bringing this up because I want to see if like you have a counterpoint or like maybe you're like, I'm not seeing something because I'm like deep in this now. I'm like, oh, that's like totally open and shut case. Like, how can you deny this?
Yeah. I don't think you should be. I don't think you can deny it if those are the evidence, right? So there's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're in agreement. It's like this, like, it's all signs are pointing to there was an ancient civilization that was here before that got wiped out by an asteroid.
Hmm.
And then that asteroid created tsunamis and
Sure.
like, right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, if they lived in a world that we lived in, which is like very digital, of course everything got lost.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, the only thing. Okay, so we're in agreement. There was an ancient civilization. There must have been. Like, it's make no sense that it's not. Like, you can see the
Yeah.
Richat
I don't
structure
know.
from
Okay.
space,
What does the
bro.
word
Like,
ancient
what?
civilization mean?
Like, all right, I'm gonna say an ancient advanced civilization
Okay.
that had things that were way beyond the capabilities of us
Today's time.
today's time.
Okay.
And so Graham Hancock is coming back. Sorry, not Graham Hancock. Randall Carlson. This is gonna sound so trippy. Okay, but I'm starting to believe it now. So he's coming back on Joe Rogan's podcast because he just cleared these patents for this new form of technology that uses sonic resonance.
Hmm.
So you use all right, this sounds so nutty. All right. So like a stone. The way we do it now, if you want to carve into it, you would drill, right? You drill, wait for it, whatever. So allegedly, if you take that same stone and you run like a sound wave through it, it makes it easier to cut.
Hmm.
And he's like, him and his team have developed these kinds of technologies that he's going to out in like January of this year or February, something like that. And it's like, is this what they were using back then? Did like these are some crazy technology? Like think of the ramifications. It's like, so what was here before us? Who were these people?
Hmm.
Like it creates a whole new series of questions. Like, are we running our society the most efficient way? You know?
I know. I see what you're saying. But sometimes you can say the other way too, which is, well, they found a way that they're doing something, right?
Hmm.
Was that an efficient way?
Oh, like can we make it better?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, true. Yeah,
Right.
facts. No, right, yeah.
Like sometimes when it always happens, right? Like if there's a structure, you're following a structure, it's hard to break from a structure that works, right?
Yes.
But then when you start from fresh again, you have new ideas that
Yes.
you can explore.
Okay, totally. It's so funny that you brought this up because this actually came up this week and I was talking to somebody about this idea of design thinking. So when you're doing something, like let's say marketing, right? You're looking at how we did it in the past and like how do I just emulate that, right? But design thinking, the idea is not looking for the answer, but it's asking the question.
Mhm.
So it's like, so like if you're like, how do you run a campaign, right? A marketing campaign. I'm like, oh, the answer is this. We have an answer for it.
Yeah.
That's traditional, right?
Mhm.
But design thinking would be like, what did what would be the outcome of the campaign?
Mhm.
What are our opportunities? What can we do? Like it's more question based than answer based,
Right.
right? And that reminds me of like what you're saying that it's like disruptive technologies. This might totally restructure
Mhm.
how we live our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is trippy because then
Mhm.
it's like
Well, I mean, yeah, we've seen that. There are destructive technologies happening.
the iPhone,
The iPhone is
disruptive. Yeah, yeah.
very disruptive technology. But what you don't know sometimes the consequences of those disruptive technologies.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Yeah. Because like Plato said that Atlantis was brought down because of its arrogance to the
Mhm.
gods. They thought they were better than the gods.
Mhm.
So like, what does that actually mean? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like, does it actually mean that you thought you were better than gods, or maybe like you were saying, it's like we don't know the ramifications. So maybe they were using this like, this audio frequency, but that audio frequency pulled in more meteors. We don't know. Like,
Right. Right. Right.
we don't know like what
Something
might.
attracted something. Let's just say, for
Right,
instance.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden we're using magnets, but then
Mhm.
magnets are pulling the polarity of a meteor towards us, and we didn't even
Mhm.
realize it.
Mhm.
Something like that. It's like climate change, right? Like industrial evolution. We don't realize that we're polluting the
Exactly.
air.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah.
That's a trip. Yeah. But what's weird to me is like, why don't people want to study this?
It's no money in it. We
I
we
mean,
structured the
maybe
world or society around money, right?
fair. Yeah, that's a fair point. Elon Musk, he brought this up too, and like aliens. I was listening to like aliens. See, this is all tied together. So like aliens, right? Why don't we? So like people that don't believe in
Maybe those are
aliens,
the ancient. Maybe those are our ancient civilizations. Who the aliens are?
like they left and then came back.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be like maybe they like Krypton, right? They
Mhm.
sent
Yeah. Yeah.
us away, and then we're coming back to see like, is there still something that's here?
Right.
That
Ten
literally could
thousand
be
years
it.
later. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 totally, totally. Yeah, totally. But the other thing too is like, when you look at this alien stuff, one thing Elon Musk brought up is like the great filter. So either you become a spacefaring civilization or the planet you're on kills you,
Yeah.
right? So that's why he's so obsessed with becoming a spacefaring civilization, because that at least ensures that our DNA is outside of the planet,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
which makes total sense. It's like we are super vulnerable to like meteors.
And if
And
they
if
knew
you,
that too, ancient civilizations knew that too.
yeah, then of course they'd want to hurry up at like getting us off-worlded,
Yeah.
which yeah, you're right, could be aliens. But then my question is, how come we don't see the debris? That is the other. Oh no, no, we talked about this before. We talked about this before. Because I was like, why don't we see the debris of like if they became spacefaring, like they had satellites, right? How come we don't see it when we go to space? But then you were saying that over time the gravitational pull will end up pulling the
They all
satellite
they
back to
all come
Earth.
back. Yeah. 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 There's a
So
lifespan.
if it's
Yeah.
yeah, so if it's 10,000 years, maybe there were satellites, but they just got pulled down to
Mhm.
Earth. Yeah. But again, if we start building bases on different planets,
We start
you
going
know,
into that direction again. Yeah. Figure out how to go into further into space. Like sometimes we learn
yeah,
things when we're limited to knowledge based on where we're at. So there's going to be more extra, like when you go to Mars or you go to like actually like having a base on the moon. There, there's studies that would happen that could potentially explain other reasons or how to figure out how to travel further. All that kind
true.
of stuff happens. Like more knowledge. That's all you're doing is gaining more knowledge when we do these things.
Right, yeah, yeah, facts are facts. I don't know if to me, that that off-worlding thing and then coming back to see what's going on, that makes more sense than time travel. Well, I guess because like we don't know how it's done yet, but
Yeah, yeah,
no,
exactly.
no,
Yeah, I know,
but
I know.
like
Yeah, yeah.
I bring that up because in these ancient like glyphs or whatever, like um pictures and like statues, one of the things I saw was like a watch. It was like so clearly a watch, like a watch, like this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on the thing, and it's like either there's two answers for this. Either A, they create, which is what Bright Insight said on the podcast too, Joe Rogan's podcast. If they were able to create these crazy structures, why wouldn't they be able to make something as simple as a watch too?
Hmm.
So maybe they did have watches back then. Or the other idea that a lot of people say is like they're time travelers, like the future us coming back to
Okay. Right, right,
like
right.
teach the new generation like about
I think time travel is
it's.
just a little too.
That's what I mean. Is I was like that's a little too out there. So it would make more logical sense that you figured out how to capture time and put it on your wrist because we did that too.
Hmm.
Like watches have been around for like a long time,
Hmm.
right? That makes more sense
Yeah,
than
yeah,
like
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I just don't see the time travel thing working.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just a trip because it's like we think this again just puts everything in perspective. It's like why are we getting upset over all these little things when we have this crazy history that nobody knows where we came from
Hmm.
or like what was here before. Yeah, trippy, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's weird that some people aren't accepting of this.
I think if you
You
ask
know what I mean?
generally, I think that would be more in the sense of people that are in that field. They are more uh, ready to be more reluctant to be looking for more evidence. That's just how they're like brought up to be, right?
Because this is
I
how it's been done.
Yeah, or no, it's just
Yeah.
like how they've been brought up to be like looking for more evidence. Like what you're showing me is visuals and things. Like, can you actually show physical evidence? Like what like
Yeah, no, yeah, no, no.
you
So
know what I'm
they
saying?
were there's a National Geographic documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but it came out like 2 years ago or something. It was in Bright Insight's other videos, but like they said they were gonna scan it with LiDAR,
Hmm.
and then they said they found something like they found like some
Yeah.
square.
So like one thing could be the lidar, but then actually physically digging down and actually looking at it. Right. Sometimes
Oh, because
lidar
maybe
isn't
you're right,
always
right.
right.
It's like a square, but you're like, oh, this is actually just some twigs, like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Right. Um,
True.
but I feel like if you ask general people, like I think they'd be like, "Oh, it was interesting stuff," but it's not really affecting our lives in that sense. They'll take it at face
But
value. I feel.
but no, I agree with you. I agree with you because like I agree with you because like this is something we've been talking about for a while. It's like it doesn't affect my day to day.
Hmm.
I'm still gonna pay bills. I'm still going to whatever. But what I think it really does now is lend you that perspective so you don't hate other people. Right? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay.
because the
If they
more you
do, I think,
realize,
yeah, I think it depends on the if they view it like that. I don't know if they would. Right? They still,
right.
yeah,
No, so totally. So it's like, do you if you watch a human migration video and you're like, oh, we're all really one person,
yeah.
like that lends perspective.
Hmm.
And then the more perspectives you have, it just makes you a nicer person because you're like, people are dealing with struggles that I have no idea about,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. And it depends on how they look at it. Yeah, it's like look, ancient like civilizations come and go. Like we like that's part of
Yeah.
the that's part of the
Oh,
whole cycle of
you're
it.
saying they might think like that?
Yeah.
Is it true? But also, it's another thing too. I think we've said this before, but like, is like you and I have to also like understand that we know things that other people don't know, but not in like an arrogant way. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
obviously a
Yeah. Yeah.
doctor
Yeah.
knows things that I don't
Of
know.
course.
Engineer knows like our frame of reference is totally different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like because I was talking to somebody about the prefrontal cortex. I was like, yeah, it's just the digital. It's like the decision making part of the brain. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, brain's made up of these three areas, like
Yeah.
whatever. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, it's not common knowledge. I'm bad. You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
but if you don't know that, it's like, of course I'm gonna have more perspective because I looked into these things
Hmm.
more.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
That's why
Yeah, I
it's a
want to
it's a
bounce.
subjective world, right? Like we're all at different levels. But the,
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
but I think it's
But
because we grew up in the time of the internet that we can access information.
like search these things up. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, totally, totally. But I wonder too, like, there's knowledge plus experience, right? And all right, I was thinking about doing this week, and then it's funny, like when people talk about like emotional regulation, I was getting like really amped up. I was like, I want to do this, I want to change this, blah blah blah, blah, right? Like,
Hmm.
I want to show these people these things, right? Um, and then I went to jujitsu, and then I came out, I was like, who cares what they think, bro? Like, just focus. You know what I mean? I was like so like ready to change perspective, and then I left jujitsu, and I was just like, all that energy just
Hmm.
got like released, and I just didn't care about changing anything. I was like, yeah, they'll be themselves, you know.
Right.
I just found that really interesting. But like when people don't have that, right? Like you're just like pent up and like, you know, if I hadn't gone to jujitsu, maybe I'd have this whole like PowerPoint presentation, this like slide deck of like, let me change your perspective. But anyways, so I'm gonna just say it here because at least it gets captured somewhere and the idea doesn't lose itself. Um, I think the genius thing about yoga training was that it gave you the philosophy and then the experience of the philosophy. And then those married together make it like it's not wisdom, it's like a truth.
Hmm.
Like when I say these things, like I was talking to somebody about this and like basically the thing about like, oh, I just try and see the similarities, right? And then they're like, oh, you're like how are you seeing it this way? No, but like, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not like in a weird way, but it's just like I could feel that they didn't look at it that way.
No.
And
No.
there was
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
you know, and like they're like, yeah, but I can't get past that. And I was like, but how come I can get past that?
Hmm.
And then I realized it's like it became a truth for me, right? Like it's just like gravity for me. Like the stuff I
Hmm.
know is
Hmm.
like gravity. It's like you'll never change my mind about it because it's so obvious,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that all being said, um, I was going to play this like the Who Am I game with certain people because it's a great example of like that. I'll just play the game and then I'll explain it after. So like we played this game before where I asked you like who are you and then you just said like no one, right? And I was like, "Oh, correct answer, game over," right? But like what people will do is you start asking like who are you? And they're like, "Dad." "Who are you?" Painter." "Who are you?" You know, jack of all trades. "Who are you?" "A cook." And then you just keep going until you just keep asking them until they hit this point where they can't answer you, right? You've exhausted every definition. But once you've done that, like they feel confused, right? But now you just harness that confusion. You're like, that's because at the core of everyone, we are no one. But we
Hmm.
are also everyone because you're looking at your past and you're giving yourself a definition of who you are. That's what everyone is,
Yeah.
right? It's like, how do I know I'm a male? Oh, because how do I know I'm a marketer? Oh, because,
Hmm.
you know, but we always have to reference back into our memory of who we are. But what you can do is you can hijack that that natural process and just change it. I was like, who are you? Today I will be this.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's when you become infinite. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then I wrote this like article before. It's like, practice makes people. It's like if I want to be a photographer, just go be a photographer.
Hmm.
You know, it's like whatever definition you want to give to yourself, you just do it.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's like the foundation again of like my life of video games. It's like literally who you think you are is an illusion because you have to reference back.
Hmm.
But if you had amnesia, like who are you? I
Right.
don't know who I am. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
be whoever you want to be then, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing stopping you
Hmm.
from that. You know?
Yeah.
And
I
like
know what you mean by yeah. There's nothing stopping you. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
And if we just knew that, it's like, what kind of person do you want to be?
Hmm.
That's really the question. There's
Hmm.
so many ramifications when you understand that who you are as a person is just literally a self-diagnosed definition based on your past history. And that's where trauma lives, because you're um, like, why are you like this? Because my past, because this. But it's like, but if you could disrupt that, you know,
Hmm.
you're infinite.
Right.
Doesn't that, all right, all right, all right. So I gave you that whole long definition, but that can be summed up in you're everything and you're nothing.
Hmm.
But if I told you that without that, that whole like
Exactly. Yeah,
rambling,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you'd be like, what are you talking about?
Of course, yeah, yeah.
But it's a totally logical thing. It's like, but you need to go through the game.
Hmm.
We need to play the game for you to have the knowledge and the experience. But that's again to circle back to like close the loop on that. That's why I think yoga training's so good because they gave you like the philosophy and the experience to like actually have that. Now, if you said that to me, it's like, of course, it's totally
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
obvious,
Right.
but to somebody else, it's like confusion.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, a lot of
um,
things come back to even like it's part of the brain development, right? The evolution of the brain development, like what you're teaching people as when they're kids. That's where it starts, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
or I'm just saying, like maybe me going to piano made me learn about patience without realizing it.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. But I wonder too, it's like you also need a guide. In those formative years, you need a
Hmm.
guide until you can guide yourself,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you like you going to piano, but then your parents are like, I'll be more patient. Like you need somebody to tell you, like, this is what you're honing, you're harnessing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. No, it depends on the. I think maybe it's like some things are innate, some things are not. Right. So what comes out as you? Because some people would be like, "Oh, I'm not winning anything. I want to like get better." Like, you know what I mean? Then you're not really patient.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah, yeah,
more antsy. I think it depends on the person. I guess these are maybe like some of these things could be innate. If you need to be, I guess, taught specific things, then you need a guide or a teacher to lead you in certain ways. Like what's naturally in you and what's not naturally in you.
Okay, okay. All right, interesting you said that. I just saw this interview with this like ex gang member who like he converted to like evangelical Christian, whatever. And I was like kind of incredulous in the beginning to be like, all right, do I really want to listen to this? Like, what am I going to gain from this? Because I don't believe in Jesus as well, right? I mean, historically, I'm sure Jesus was real, but um, I don't follow that
Right,
religion.
right, right.
So what he said was he was having an interview, having a talk with a pastor, and the pastor said, "What is sin?" Right? And he's like, "Oh, when you do good and bad." Right? And he's like, not really. Sin is like trusting yourself over God.
Hmm.
Right? Okay, so it sounds weird, right? I was like, okay, let me like hear your definition of this. If you trust yourself, you're going to follow um your your desire. Like I'm hungry. Oh no, your pleasure states, right?
Sure.
You're like,
Okay.
I want, I just want to eat candy all day, right? I'm just gonna trust myself. Like this is what I'm gonna do, and I want to kill this person because I want what they have. You know what what God is, what religion is it's a form of structuring so that you can guide yourself
Yeah.
and trust in God versus yourself.
Hmm.
And when I heard that, I was like, that makes total sense, actually. But you don't need religion to do that. We do. That's why I said the guides,
Yeah.
right? It's like when you're a kid, you don't really know why,
Yeah.
but
So it
like,
could be, yeah, it could be the actual music teacher that I had with the way that he
oh,
was
maybe they said
teaching.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
exactly.
he's
Yeah.
saying something that I didn't, because of course here I have a teacher, right?
Right, right, right. Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's funny because it's like we all need structure,
Hmm.
even though we want freedom.
Hmm.
Maybe it's not structure, it's discipline. We all need, because like structure is discipline. Like it just tells you like this is the box you're in, right? So maybe when you put it that way, I was like, I can get down with that philosophy. Like sin is literally just me running off of impulse.
Hmm.
Trusting myself is impulse. Trusting God is trusting in a structure that I know will work,
Right.
right? Because so like the pastor told him, I want you to like, how's your relationship with your father? And he's like, oh, I hate my father, whatever, whatever. He's like, I want you to apologize to your father. And then the gang member was so mad, and he's like, trust trust not yourself, trust me. So then when when he met his father and he apologized, his father was like broke down. Was like, no, I want to apologize to you. But see, it's like if you had trusted your initial instinct of like anger, you wouldn't have
Right.
like, if you had used the discipline, you use the discipline to just like, I'm going to
Hmm.
listen to what he's saying, and it totally changed the outcome. You know,
Right.
we all need to be led in some way.
Hmm.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah. Well, religion is good with that in the
It
general
is, yeah, yeah,
aspect. Yeah.
totally, yeah, yeah. But like, yeah, religion is good with that because it becomes like a practice. But then
When it
if
becomes
you,
dogma is the issue, though, right?
yeah, like I'm better, like follow me no matter what, like
But also,
cultish.
yeah, it depends on its own structure too, right? Sometimes its own structure could be wrong in certain aspects.
Oh, what do you mean? Like,
Oh,
oh,
like
like hating gay people and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. But then, see, here's the thing. It's like if religion helped you in that way, like it changed your life, right? And then they tell you like hate gay people, you're going to do that because that religion
It's
changed your life.
exactly.
So you're gonna follow blindly because you're like, well, it
Hmm.
worked here, it must work here,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's like you need a guide until you can become your own guide.
Hmm.
That is actually that's like a yoga, that's like the highest level of yoga study where they tell you like you become masterless because you find the teacher within yourself
Hmm.
because you're able to discern. You're like, oh, that's not right. This is right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you get stuck in the religious phase, it's like you will never hit that because you're just fully relying on someone else.
Hmm.
Like you need to learn how to fly on your own. You can't live in the nests,
Right.
forever.
Hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird being a human being. It's like, right? Because we're just
But even
like we're
even
like
even
animals.
even the religious thing does change too. Like if you notice, like with the new pope and stuff, right?
No, I don't know. I don't.
Like
What's
I
up?
think it's he was saying it's like it's not. I forgot the exact way he phrased it, but it was like
Well,
it's not.
homosexuality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's not illegal
Okay.
to be gay, which
Yeah,
is true.
totally.
It's just we just view it as a sin. That's all he's saying. But he's saying that
Yeah.
they can exist. They're real people. So
Okay.
he's changing it in a way that it fits
Because of the
because
diversity right now.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. God, I hope this doesn't get me fired. Okay, here we go. I think that diversity is a Western problem. All right, let me explain. I think that
What does that mean? Western problem. What do you mean? Oh yeah,
okay.
I explain.
So do you remember? Do you remember the story of Avatar? And I was like, oh, uh why did they need a colonial to save them from the colonials? And then your brother was like, technically, the colonials came and you need a colonial to fix the problem. So it's not actually indigenous relying on the colonials. The colonials are figuring out how to undo their issue using their own colonial, right? The
Mm-hmm.
story of Avatar.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I think this whole diversity and inclusion thing is right now is the colonials realize they made a big mistake and they need themselves to fix it because the people that are not colonials, the BIPOC individuals, we don't see the problem that you see. You created the problem and now you're trying to fix the problem, but you're trying to tell me that I need to get on board to fix this problem. But I'm like, but you created the problem, bro. If you look at my culture, we didn't have this problem. You brought this problem here. So let me explain. So 2S LGBTQ plus, like diverse, like like sexuality, people who are like gay, whatever. Um, that is because colonials believed in Catholicism or Christianity so much, and they said that that's not good. So it's
Right.
built into their structure,
Mm-hmm.
and now they realize, oh, these are people too. So they're creating this whole new movement to undo the problem that they started, which is gay people are evil.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look back 20 years ago, where's the first place people started to transition? Transitioning now is like, oh, it's so revolutionary. You can transition to the other gender. Where were they doing that before? Do you know? You don't know.
Well, they had them in a lot of places around the world.
Yes, primarily where? Where did everyone go? Do you know this one?
Well, where they go right now, or
No. 20 years ago when it was illegal, you couldn't transition
here?
in Canada
Oh, you go
or
to like
like Western
Thailand or
society.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You go to Thailand or the Philippines. Thailand or the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you gonna tell me that like gay people matter? We knew this back then, bro. We literally let them change. There's terms like ladyboy
Yeah.
for Thailand. It's just it's a guy. You know,
Like they're
ladyboy was
they're in Indian cultures too. They were already
exactly
there in the old stories.
exactly
They existed.
exactly.
Yeah.
And indigenous people call them two spirits
Mm-hmm.
because you had the male and the female. So it's like again, a colonial created the problem,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make all these crazy movements that we all. Did you guys know that gay people matter, bro? We freaking knew that a while ago. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my problem with this whole movement. It's like, but we knew this,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're facing ramifications when we already knew this.
Right.
Like, why is Dave Chappelle being hated on for his transphobia? Did you listen to it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually bigging up the transgender community. All he was saying is that how come the black movement, Black Lives Matter movement, is being outshone by the transgender movement? You know why? And he says it too. And I was like, I'm actually seeing it now, like in reality,
Mm-hmm.
like in real life, I'm seeing it. Whereas for him as a joke when I first heard it, then like being in these circles, I'm like, oh, it's true. It's because the the gay people that are asking for rights are white.
Mm-hmm.
But really though, it's like
Right.
it is a race thing again. It's like why are they the loudest right now? Why are the blue-haired people the loudest? But they're all white. You like literally look at that.
Mm-hmm.
You will not see a large majority of BIPOC people championing this thing because we already knew that's cool. Whatever you want to do, you want to do. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
do you agree? No?
Well, I think there's just more of a white population, right? So we would, of course, see
But
more
we
white
started
people.
it here. But we started it here. No, of course. No, of course. But that's the point. It's like when was the diversity thing a thing in those countries?
Mm-hmm.
It was never. Nobody ever said diversity because it was already accepted that you can be that type of person.
Right.
Like in Thai culture, ladyboy is a not transitioned. It's a what do you call them? Like a trans not transgender. It's like you dress like a girl, but you're a guy.
I don't know the exact term.
I don't know the exact term either, but whatever.
That is a good term. I mean,
Yeah, no, yeah, same. Yeah, I know the bad term, but I don't know how to say it like nicely. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
and even like Filipino people, like how often was it funny for me and Wop to act like we were gay? Like, growing up as kids, like you
Mm-hmm.
saw that all the time. But it was just like it wasn't. We weren't making fun of them. It was just a funny. It was like you were just trying to get some laughs off. But if there was an actual gay person, like I went to Pope, there's gay people there, Filipino gay people. It wasn't weird. It was like, yeah, you're gay. They always hung out with the prettiest girls because they knew that the pretty girls knew that the gay people weren't gonna hit on them.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's like we have this new problem of diversity and inclusion, but it's like it's only literally a Western problem that's being blown out of proportion now because the West has the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gave that mic to us, we'd be like, chill out, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think it is the Western religious. That's where it started from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a Western problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you guys made this problem. Like let me give you one more because this is another one where I was like, you made this problem up. So, um, okay. So I try to say it in a way that isn't too obvious. So like let's say, okay, so I have a question about Indian culture. Like I want to say something about Indian culture, right? And then I would just be like, yo, Vish, is this cool in your culture? Right?
Right. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
say that to you,
Right.
right? Totally cool. Okay. So I got hit with this one. How do I speak about a different culture and um make sure their voice is heard?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, so one thing that these people were toying around with was like, I would go to you and I'd be like, hey, I don't want to create this content. I don't want to write anything unless I got your opinion. Right. So like I just want to make sure that you matter. I want you to know that I know you matter. So I want you to collaborate with me on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
How freaking awkward is that?
Yeah.
That's awkward, bro. So when they said this, I was like, oh, let
But
me
we're
just
all
say something.
individuals. We don't speak for a whole society.
Oh my God. I can't believe you said, oh my God. Oh my God. That's so funny. That's so funny that you said that. Okay.
Because yeah,
So
because if it was me, it was like, well, this is what I think. I don't know what the other people think.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Okay. So there was only me and another dude in there who are like of ethnicity. And and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you all a history lesson on Filipino culture. We were enslaved by the Japanese. They're like, oh, he was enslaved by the Japanese. I was like, all right, forget that. Anyways, so if you were to come to me and be like, BJ, what do you think about this enslavement of the Japanese? I'd be like, I don't know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what if I don't have an opinion? Number one. And number two, why am I the spokesperson for my entire race now when I have no cultural context for this? I didn't read about it. I don't have any skin in the game of it other than my actual skin. You know what I'm
Nor
saying?
did we
Like,
even experience it.
right. So it's like, why are you gonna make it? Why are you gonna put me on this pedestal? Right. And then it's so funny, like the other person was like, yeah, what he said. like, I'm like, yes, because it's weird. And then the second thing I said was, if you think it's weird, if you're coming up to me and you're like, "Ooh, this is weird," chances are I'm gonna feel that you feel this is weird, and now it's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't make it weird. Just ask me the question. Like I'd be like, "Vish, like, do Indian people do this? Like, it was cool with you? If I, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. Like, you don't need the whole preamble to
Yeah.
why I need you to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, bro. But it's like they don't know it. Like it's you know what I'm saying? Like it's a fascinating to me that's
Yeah,
like
yeah. I think that's
because
what's
it's their
happened.
problem. No, no,
Yeah,
it's
they
because it's
think
their
they're walking
problem.
on eggshells, right?
And it's like, bro, there was no but that's what I mean. They started the problem. Now they're trying to fix the problem
Yeah.
by walking on eggshells. But it's like you're making it weird for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't make it weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I said this whole like movement right now is Western people created the problem, Western people trying to fix the problem.
Well, it's
That's
mainly a
all it
Western
is.
issue, right? We're in the Western world, so I don't think this
That's
is
exactly
happening
what
in
I mean.
other areas of the world. So
Yeah. And I'm sure like there is obvious hate. Like, I know Hong Kong people don't like Filipino people, but we're not like, you should like respect us. It's like, okay, I just won't go to your country. Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so it's weird, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, because we live in a melting pot, so that's the issue we
Well,
deal
that's
with.
melting pots,
America.
America. That's where like you have to assimilate to white culture. Whereas like
Oh, okay,
Mosaic
okay,
is like you can be whoever you want to be.
sure.
But
Yeah, well,
even
I think that's the issue, right? So
yeah. So I want to bring that up. Like I want to like just start championing that to like every single person. Like you're making it weird. Like I just want to just say you're making it weird.
Right.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. But it's so funny that you said the exact same thing. I'm like, I think BIPOC people
I
understand
think
it.
it
It's
depends.
weird.
Yeah, I think it depends which crowd you're in. Like, are you
Okay.
in the crowd of people that are feeling guilty, or are you in the crowd that are people like,
Yes. 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 That is what it is. It all stems from guilt.
yeah,
But that's what this whole white guilt thing
yeah.
is.
I felt
That they're
weird.
saying,
Actually, that happened in Thunder Bay. I was like, I was sitting around at I think it was like a cafeteria table, and this there was a native Indian there. It was myself and somebody else, and then there was a white guy, and he was saying like, "Oh, I felt bad. Like what happened in history?" I was like, "Bro,
you just made it weird,
yeah,
bro.
he
Yeah.
really did. He really did. It's like, why is this
It's like,
guilt, bro? It's okay. You didn't do it."
yeah. Oh my God. You literally just made it weird,
Let's
bro.
just make that society right now is equal for everybody. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Okay, wait. To go back to it now, I think it's because they don't interact with multiple cultures. Because you know who doesn't make it weird? White people from Scarborough. They don't make it weird because they're
mm.
so interacting with all those cultures that they're just like, they actually just start acting like that culture.
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
You know, it's like,
if you're not exposed
yeah,
to other people, other cultures, if you don't travel, like yeah, you're gonna, of
yeah.
course.
I know this one couple who they're white and they spend a lot of time with like black and majority black, I'd say like black and Trinidadian people. Okay. And they're just so comfortable with black and Trinidadian people. You would never hear them say, yo, I'm sorry about what my people do to your people, bro. You would never hear them say that because it's like you're just like that's just gonna make it weird, bro.
And also, it's not even true. It's like most of them were like peasants. You had no choice in what was going on, anyways.
Facts,
It's
facts.
like,
That's more like a government issue, you know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
you guys set the rules. You said that slavery was cool, so we did that. You
right.
know, it's like, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just fascinated with like, how do you not know it's weird, bro? Like, like,
Yeah.
or just don't. This is where the respect thing comes in. It's just like just like respect me enough to not make it weird, or respect me enough to not say anything. You know, it's like I'm around other cultures, and if I don't know that culture enough, I'm just gonna keep quiet and just observe. Like,
Hmm.
okay, how do you interact, right? How
Right.
do I not be weird to you guys,
Hmm.
right? But like, if you insert yourself without listening first, then you're going to make it weird.
Yeah.
And then it's like you stick out like a sore thumb,
Hmm.
you know? I wish everyone knew this because it's like this would just put everyone at peace, man. You know, if Scarborough was extrapolated, you'd have world peace, man. People are just like, just do you, bro?
Right.
Like, I'm not into that. That's cool. You over there. Yeah.
True.
Anyways. Yeah. Okay. Oh, what time are we at right now?
Hour and 30.
Oh my god. All right. Well, it's just gonna be a long one. All right. Because I have two more. Well, all right, we'll see. All right, FTX. We were talking about this beforehand.
Oh
I
yeah.
just wanted to bring up how FTX. Okay, so basically, we won't get into the specifics of FTX, but what I just want to highlight is that everyone thought cryptocurrency was going to be like the game changer. You know, this is how we reset everything. But it's like value system aside, like, you know, like there's no inherent intrinsic value in numbers. Like you just delete those and then they mean nothing. Um, the FTX scandal shows you that there will always be like conspiracy or like collusion. Like people will always try and game the system,
Yeah.
you
Of
know?
course. Yeah.
And like we think that like
You gotta understand with crypto especially. It's like I don't have the numbers offhand. It's like 80 or 90%. It's like who are using it are generally uh like you're doing illegal things.
that's how it started actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bitcoin was the Silk Road. That's how they would pay each other
Right.
because you couldn't use actual money.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
like,
so
yeah.
it's built on a foundation of like nefariousness,
hmm
you know. But like, yeah, it's funny because like crypto really took off during COVID, right? But a lot of people had excess money from the government and time to kill. So it's like, of course, this is gonna get popular.
hmm
But then all of a sudden it started to die. And you're like, why is it dying? Because like people went back to life. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
inherently it
And
made no
corruption is
sense.
going to end up catching up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also a
Yeah.
reason why it's falling or failing or whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
both is
Yeah.
the case,
Yeah.
but yeah.
You were gonna say you were saying before the podcast started about how he um
Yeah, in an interview, they were trying to get him because basically it's like you can put, so it's like even if I put one Bitcoin in, doesn't matter what the value is, I can still take out one Bitcoin.
okay. Okay, yeah.
What happened was he, so I can put money in, but I'm putting it in. There's two sections where it's like as a holding, which is just like it's just holding my money. I'm not doing anything with it.
Like purgatory, yeah.
And then, or I'm
Like
gonna put it into like investment, so that'll go up
yeah,
and
okay.
down.
Yep.
So when it was going down, people were trying to take out the money in the holding. There was no money in the holding. They were
Oh wow.
playing with money in the holding that under their own terms of service was saying that they wouldn't touch that. So when that money went missing, that's technically what they've done is fraud.
Oh, that's what happened. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That people were trying to take out the money and they're like, there's no money there.
Interesting. Okay, so that's an interesting point from like a technological perspective. From a marketing perspective, because FTX had bought in a lot of things and they had a lot of like celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like we thought it was above all of this nefarious stuff because popular people were backing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then with what you just said that was happening, it's like it just doesn't that show everyone that like the the power of marketing. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like we all thought it was like this good, and he was also donating a lot of political money to help people, like the war in Ukraine. Apparently, like he helped fund that, like give them weapons and stuff. So he was seen as like, from a marketing perspective, as like an altruistic business leader.
Mm-hmm.
But he was doing this the whole time, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
there was a lot of other weird things where it's like, because they had their own coin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think that
And
was
they
in
were
that
buying.
video. Yeah, they were
They were.
buying
I heard this
investments.
from a different.
Oh, okay. Like buying investments, but with their own coin, which didn't have any value.
Because they could just print their own
They can
coin,
just, yeah,
themselves.
yeah. And they're playing, again, they're playing with people's money in the holding part, which they shouldn't be touching. But that's because they thought that they could make money back, but it kept going
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Another thing that I heard was they were also buying their own coin. So they would
hmm
it's like illegal. So like the best example is if you want to be like the top selling book author, you would buy your own book yourself. You'd get the proceeds, but also you'd rank up, right?
Right.
So that's illegal in trading.
hmm
But they were doing that too to make their
Their money value look,
FTX, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
look
yeah,
really high. They were
yeah,
buying it themselves.
yeah.
It's like, oh, look, it's trading so high because people are buying it. But it's
Right.
like, no, you were buying it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I don't know what the future of crypto is, man. Like, you and I were not on board the whole time, and I feel really bad for people that are super on board,
Yeah.
and especially celebrities who are like really championing it, like Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. They're such crypto believers, and it's like I get it if you're playing a game, right? You're trying to like make money off of cheating other people.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Not cheating other people, that sounds so bad. But like you're trying to make a quick buck. But if you're actually looking at the value of how we're going to use crypto, it's like it's not there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you see it turning around in any like possible way?
Bitcoin coming back
Or like
up?
yeah, crypto, just like
I think it'll be there. Just I don't think it'll be the same value as it reached during the
no, like
pandemic.
not the price. I mean like the utility of it. Do you think people will actually like convert to crypto?
No,
Yeah, I
not like
don't
in a
know.
vast way. No.
And especially when you can lose your money too, like the people that have it on a USB but they forgot the password because it's like ultra locked. And if you like put in the password 3 times, it wipes your USB.
Well, that's another issue.
Yeah, so it's like it's just not safe. It's so weird. Or like, what if you drop the USB?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I don't know. I guess people fell for it as a get rich scheme. It worked for a while, and then of course it's going to crash.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just all dependent on when you got in.
It totally makes sense. Like, if you get an early, sell it like as it's high,
Hmm.
sure. But like the actual viability is just so
But
not
most people
there.
didn't know. Doesn't really understand the marketing
Yeah, they're all
thing,
just like, oh
or
yeah, we're all buying crypto now. Cool, buy crypto.
exactly,
I
yeah.
hear
But they
crypto's
don't
the thing.
understand like the meaning of it. It's like you do understand it's not backed by any actual thing. It's just right. There's
And then
no.
and then they try and give you like some word soup, like they're just
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, but they blah 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 blah, and then you're
And
like,
then they use like
and you sound
decentralized.
like,
It's like
yeah,
nobody
yeah,
can touch
yeah.
your money.
And you're like, what does that mean, bro? But you didn't talk about the fact that it has no value. Like,
Right,
sure, you're talking about like how it works, but like at the core of it has no value. You
right,
haven't
right.
addressed that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but
but
it's
it's like any
decentralized.
yeah, but it's like anything new. They should realize like it was more of an attack against banks, right, to convince you to get into this. But then banks have been here for years. This is the new
Yeah.
thing. You don't know if it's
So
gonna last.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's yeah. It makes me like realize again, it adds perspective, but it makes you realize that people can go down blind belief paths,
Oh yeah.
and just like stick to it forever. Because they'll even now, if you tell them like, yeah, but what happened to the crypto thing? They'll just be like, yeah, but you don't understand what really happened, bro.
Yeah.
They'll try and like justify it in their minds why
Hmm.
it failed because they don't want to look silly.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, but why can't we just accept like, oh, that's a bad move?
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, I fell for that one.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, last thing, the Chinese balloon. I've been hearing about this, but I'm not paying attention. In my feed, it was like shoot down the balloon. I'm like, what balloon? What?
Yeah. I like it came into U.S. and a little bit of Canadians airspace, I guess, like in our zone.
What is it? Like what?
Well,
It's like an actual balloon.
ba-
Like what are we talking about here?
yeah, yeah, based on the what China said, it was like a meteorological balloon. They had some, I guess, technology stuff on it,
Okay.
and well, U.S. wanted to shoot it right away, but
Oh, okay.
Pentagon or their defense said not. We can't do it right away because it might like fall on people in populated areas, right?
Oh, interesting.
So, but they did like they said that they did mitigate how much whatever the sensors that are on the balloon could do.
Okay.
So, but then now it like just crossed, or yesterday it crossed over like just into the Atlantic Ocean. They shot it down, and now I just read where it's like China's like they should have just let it be. Like we have to. I don't
Is
know.
it
We
after
should.
war?
I don't know. I don't think so. But it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
like you.
All right.
Why didn't you believe us that it was just the meteorological thing? Well, now what would with them shooting it down, the U.S. shooting it down, they're gonna go and grab it and
Collect
see
it.
see what
Oh.
technologies was it actually doing, or was it doing anything, or was it doing things that like what? Yeah, what is there anything new technology that they had on it, or is just like normal an actual? It was, or was it an
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
accidental that it came into our airspace? It was just a
Like
meteorological thing.
was it a spy balloon or not?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't kept up with the potential World War III aspect of this all. Maybe didn't it die down because of winter now and
Yeah.
the
Wintertime, it's
markets?
like nobody wants to fight right now. Nobody starts
Yeah,
wars at this time.
it's too difficult for Russia, right? To
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see where this all leads, especially like with the balloon thing. It's like,
Because they found another one, yeah, just recently too. Like another one of those balloons are in, uh, said Latin America. They said, I think.
oh, really?
Yeah,
So what is the balloon? Like they're literally just saying, oh,
another
it's a
like
weather.
millimeter, yeah, weather balloon or whatever. Yeah, that went array.
Okay, like maybe,
Maybe.
yeah. Again, I feel like that's just like somebody else's job, you know? Like
Yeah.
you almost have to like compartmentalize in things in life now, you know? It's like I can't pay attention to that. Like
No, it's
shooting
just an
down missiles.
interesting news. It's like because you look at it, it's like what is like you can actually see it, right?
Oh, really? Eh? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's a trip. Yeah, technology too is like very odd. I was listening to this like hacker and he was describing like just like the way you can break into so many devices. He's like,
Hmm.
it's not difficult to break into someone's device and
Right.
like do all
Yeah.
this. And it just made me think like
But
we are
that's
so interconnected. Yeah, yeah.
no, that's how like a lot of these cars are being stolen, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that. That's crazy. Yeah. They're like, well, he was describing that too. He's like, it's so easy to just program an
Copy the
RFID
signal.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like make it seem like you're opening
Yeah.
like it seemed like it's the actual
Yeah.
key.
And then a lot of them, that's how they're doing it. They're not even like, yeah, they're like, they don't have to like, you don't have to be in the car, right?
Screwdriver. Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
just go to your house to see the car. If your keys are near your house door, and they can
Yeah.
scan it and then take your
See, that's
car.
trippy, bro.
Yeah. There's some new like now based on that they're adding like some car dealers or auto shops, or you can add like passwords now so they can't really
Oh,
drive
that's
away.
cool.
So that's another thing.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I feel like like computer stuff like this is so beyond
Yeah.
like when we were kids, the level of computer related stuff wasn't too difficult, you know. It's like I can get by with a little bit of coding. But now I feel like the coding level is so advanced that like we like I don't even know how you would join that. Like how would you self-teach
I don't know
yourself?
if
You know
it's
what I'm saying? Like
yeah, there might be like one person that knows it, but I don't know if a lot of these things are necessarily needed to know in coding. It could be just buying parts and putting them together.
oh, so it's more like you read it on Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they're like,
I
teach
think there's a
you.
lot of that too, yeah. Reddit.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we are definitely more susceptible with technology, but also at the same time, it's like you need technology.
Yeah, it's just a game between the two, right? It's like how do you make it more security or add more security to it, or it's just you're gonna keep
Yeah,
leveling
yeah.
up each other.
Well, one thing that the hacker that I was watching, he was explaining was bank accounts. Even though they say that they're super secure, they all build backdoors into them.
Hmm.
And like, even though we see like, oh, two-factor authentication, like that's why I won't get hacked, right? The hacker was saying like, how do you think apps like TurboTax work? Like they take advantage of the backdoor,
Hmm.
like in order to like check out your like you know when you
Yeah,
integrate like software
yeah.
together, it's like there are backdoors to these like programs. Nothing's ever fully
Well, yeah,
secure.
that's the thing, right? That's why it's like for instance, like Apple wants to have their own store. They fit certain guidelines,
Yes, exactly. Because then at least
but then there's rules. But then they pass things in like Europe where it's like, well, that's monopolizing. You can't do that. You have to make it open. It's like now you know what I mean?
yeah,
You're asking for trouble too with that.
yeah, totally, yeah, yeah. And that's why like Macs are the most secure systems, right? Like
This is a
like
closed
well,
system. Yeah, you can
yeah,
control a lot of it. Yeah.
yeah. Trippy world, yeah. All right. Anyways, yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? Because I feel like we're like super well. What's the time now?
143.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one to cut. um, yeah. All right, what's the next movie? Ant-Man?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out one, but nothing seemed good. And I guess like Ant-Man will be the big one. Is February usually like low season? Like what's going
Yeah,
on?
generally,
Oh,
it's not a time where a lot of things come out. Like March will start the season up again. March and
oh,
April.
interesting. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
January,
Oh, like
February is
spring.
always is a low
Everybody
point.
stays inside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, well, till next time. See you, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.